Split the vote.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Survivor Superfan Podcast, Split the Vote. I am Timmy B. It's me. I'm in your area, and I am joined by the greatest co-host in the world, Rob. But before we get to Rob, the gloves are on because this time we are predicting the entirety of season 50 of Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. But Rob, how are you doing today?
Well, I guess I just walked into an actual fight, so I might be a little unprepared for that, but I don't want you to beat my ass down. But I'm excited. I'm ready to get to it. I'm looking at this list, my placements that I cooked, and dude, I feel like that meme where it's like you're holding the piece of paper and it's got like the fire coming off of it. Like, I literally cooked so hard. I'm feeling good right now. I need a win. I think season 50 is finally the season where I turn it around in these kind of games that we play in the preseason. So I'm feeling good, Tim. How about you?
I'm ready. I took Muay Thai before. I took like 2 classes, so I'm going to use that 2 class experience to kick your butt here in this prediction. And I want to talk about how it works. So, how this will work, Rob and I both have our list of Survivor 50 players from 1 to 24. We'll start at number 24, going placement by placement, letting y'all know who we think is going to be in that spot and why. And at the end of it, you'll see why I'm the winner of this prediction. But at the end of the season, we'll come back, revisit it, and you'll see how accurate we were. Now, Rob, have you ever played darts before?
I've dabbled in the game of darts. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I suck at darts, but what I don't suck at is board games. Like, I'm a killer when it comes to board games. Like, you don't want to see me in Monopoly. When I play Mario Kart and Mario Party with my family, I do not let up. I do not let anybody win, and I'm not going to let you win this prediction. So I think it's time to get to our first spot for the first boot of Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. So, Rob, who do you think is going to be 24th and why?
All right. So for the first boot of season 50, and I mean this with the most respect that I can give somebody, the first boot of season 50, it's going to be Cirie Fields. And it's not that I don't believe in her. I just think this group of players will finally wisen up and get out one of the biggest threats in this game that early.
Wow. I am kind of shocked as you put Cirie as number 24. You'll see where I put her when it comes down to it. But for 24th, Rob, I looked at the tribes and I'm thinking, they brought back a disaster tribe. We have a tribe that's made up of Stephanie LaGrossa, Aubrey, Angelina, Genevieve, Kobe, Q, Kyle, and Rizzo, the Riz God. 4 new era, 4 old school. But I'm just looking at one person you can't ignore, and that person is Q. But I don't think Q is going to get 24th. I think 24th place is Genevieve. I think that Genevieve is going to have some trouble when it comes to finding her spot. Like, she has that recent player threat level going for her. She already is known as the silent killer. I think they're going to want to extinguish that flame. We already have Aubrey on the tribe. I don't think we need another strategist amongst this group of people. And I don't think they're going to want to get rid of the strength that they have because they're going against Jonathan the Mountain season 42 player and then Joe the firefighter, literally carrying people out of fires. So they're going to need Kobe. They're going to need Q for a little bit. They're going to need Kyle as well. They're going to need Jenna for the other tribe. Sorry, they're going to need Stephanie. So I think that Genevieve is going to be in trouble.
I'm going to remember that for later. I can't wait for everyone else to hear it where then I put Genevieve. But moving down, next onto my list for who I think is going to be placed 23rd in this game, I'm looking at Charlie. I think there's going to be Three words that describe his game for season 50: beautiful, sad, tragic. You know, this is one of my favorite players, someone that I identify with greatly in the game of Survivor. I think he shows the most emotional intelligence, social intelligence, maybe out of anyone playing this game. And I think everyone is aware of that on the island too, which makes him that much more of a threat just because of how he was able to navigate himself with Q in the game coming down on his throat when they were on the island in season 46. And you got Q back, but you got so many other threats that know how to take advantage of good players and get them out early before they even have a chance to get going and get started in the game. So I think the same thing along the line with Suri, where it's like you got to take out the threats when you have them at the disposal. And I think early in the game is when Charlie's gonna go.
Oof, oof. Like I understand completely how you put Charlie in that spot, but for the player that I have in this spot, you mentioned him already, Rob. This is a player who I think is extremely unpredictable, extremely chaotic, but I think he's going to come into 50 a new person. I think Q can sell water to a fish. He could sell hay to a horse, but I don't think that he could sell that he's a changed man to the other players on his tribe. And for that reason, I have to put Q as spot number 23, aka the second boot of the season. I'm thinking about the fact that Q in his preseason press, Rob, let me show you something real quick. Do you have a favorite pair of shoes? I want to ask that first.
Just like that I wear and my brand and like what I always choose to. I mean, I'm a Nike kind of guy. That's like the
Okay.
style that I'll always go to for sure.
Oh, okay. So like I feel like in the black community, Nikes are a staple. It's a specific kind of Nike that's a staple. It's the Air Force One. And I happen to have an all-white pair of ones right here. Now the white pair, you're cool. There's no problem. You're not a threat. But if you have some black Air Force Ones, Rob, you're a problem. And Q, even though he doesn't have completely all black Air Force Ones, he still has some ones on. Now they're high tops. We're not gonna get into that. But Q has the ones on. He has the forces, black and white, but it's not all the way white. It's still a little bit of black in there. And I think Q is gonna still bring a little bit of chaos. And I don't think his tribe is gonna have it.
Yo, look at that smile. That's got a devious look written all over that. It's in the eyes too. The hands, they're in the placement of like, oh, like he's got something up his sleeve and the game hasn't even started. I love it.
Yeah. I guess mischief is in the hands of the Quintavious, you know?
So real. All right. Well, for Q, you mentioned how you were worried about him not being able to change. Well, my player who I think is going to get 22nd in this game, I'm worried about them not being able to change. And that's why I got Jenna Lewis placing 22nd in this
Mm.
game. That's a season 1 player. The last time they played, I believe, was season 8. That's way back in the old Survivor. So when we think about how this game has changed and evolved into how it's being played now in the new era from season 40 on, like we're in season 50. Season 8 was 42 seasons ago. So I'm really concerned about how Jenna's going to be able to pick themselves up and really reintegrate themselves into this super fast-paced game. Like you don't have anymore just like lounging on the beach for 15 days until you actually have to start playing the game. Everyone is hitting the beach day one, and you have to make your alliances that quickly, that fast. I remember thinking about all the past seasons when we've had players like Jervis play again, and he's like, yo, I'm a season 1 player, I haven't played since then. And just talk about the difference of what it was like for him to play again when he was just going up against Tyson in season like 28 or like 26, whatever it was. 27. Wow, right in the middle, of
Mhm.
course. But just the speed and the difference in Survivor is just played so differently. So I think that's where Jenna either has to attach herself onto somebody or she's just gonna get got.
Do you think that the new era style game of Survivor, the shortened days, is gonna be a problem for the old era players?
I think it's something they're going to have to adapt to early in the game, and whether or
Mm,
not they're able to get on board with how it's going to be played for the rest of the time that they're on the island, that's really the difference. I don't think that like you can just sell out all the old era people and just say that they're not going to do well because these are survivor players. You got some of the greats that are playing right now, you know, like they will be able to integrate and find themselves. I am just worried that it might take them a little bit longer than they should because I think a lot of the new era players will surround themselves with like-minded individuals who know how to navigate the game together. So I think that's where I have a lot of cause for concern in that way.
I am a little bit of the opposite. I saw Survivor 40, Winners at War, which I don't like that season. All the old era players got obliterated, or the old school players at that point. But now we're in the new era, and the middle group of kids, the middle school kids, a lot of them are playing this season. But I think that still leaves the new era as the elementary kids. And I think that the old school is going to give a lot of the new school a lot to learn. And so, because of that, Rob, in placement 22 for the third boot of Survivor 50, I unfortunately have to put one of our faves, friend of the pod, Kyle Fraser,
Oh,
as third boot. I think that Kyle is a winner. Kyle is on a disaster trap a little bit. I think Kyle has a huge threat on his back. Camilla's in this game. Joe is in this game. I don't think they're going to want to let him get to a swap. I don't think they're going to want to let him as a winner get further in the game than other players who haven't won before. So I think because of that, Kyle is going to be in some trouble and going to be third boot.
okay, you know, like you said, friend of the pod, I love Kyle with my whole heart. I do. I love that guy. He wished me a happy birthday last year, and I couldn't be more happy after that. But you know, you brought a previous winner right here to finishing 21st in the game. So I brought a winner also to number 21, but I didn't go with Kyle because you know he's actually got mad skill. I I predict that Savannah is going to get 21st in this game. I
Really?
think this is a situation where the old school players get the newest scholar out in this game early. Because I think there is also an aspect where it's like, who is this chick? You know, at this point in filming, when Savannah is playing season 50, they don't know who she is. They don't know her game. So I think there's gonna be some mental gymnastics where they're trying to get a read on her, trying to figure out how she thinks, how she works as a person. And the fact that everyone's going to know that she won, that's going to be a threat for her out of the gate. And then they're also going to have to figure out like, well, would I rather play with the devil I know or the devil I don't know? And knowing that
Mm.
Savannah is a previous winner and she still has those eyes where she's piercing down into your soul, I do think there's some cause for concern for her longevity in this game. And I think that's why she's going to get 21st.
I mean, that does make a lot of sense. She is a winner. She is the unknown element. So I'm really curious where you're going to place Rizzo. And I think you'll be surprised, like a lot of people, where I place Savannah and Rizzo respectively. They are literally a big question mark going into 50. Other players, they don't know how they did. Exactly. They haven't seen the dynamics of that season. All they can go by is word of mouth. And because of that, I think they're going to be such a wild card. But somebody who isn't a wild card, who I think is very much known by everybody else who's playing, who's at the top of everybody else's mind, unfortunately, is my girl, the chameleon, the chameleonaire. Now, Rob, for one of my birthdays, when I was like 12 years old, I went to this paintball place in a city right next to my city back home in Mississippi. And of course, you got to shoot the other team. I have good aim. I played shooting games growing up, but this time particular, people were wearing camouflage. People were like green. They were taking it super seriously. They were camouflage. They were like hidden. But once you know what to look for, Rob, pow, they're shot. They got paint on their face. I think Camilla at this point has been revealed. She doesn't have her camouflage. She isn't in stealth anymore. And I think she's going to be, unfortunately, voted out of the game a little bit earlier this time around.
You know, that's another one that I'm gonna lock in the safe and remember for later. Cause you know, I in our season 50 draft, I picked the Chameleonaire pretty high because I believe in her. But we'll see where I put her later in the show and everything like that. All right, moving on for my next pick. Let's see. Just to recap, you know, in my 24th place, I got Sari, 23rd Charlie, 22nd Jenna, and then 21st Savannah. So those are the first four boots. And then looking into the next stage in the game, looking at my 20th spot, I think this player, I mean, I'm excited to see this player come back because we haven't seen him play in over 25 seasons. And I know he's named the Dragon Slayer. I'm just not sure he's going to be able to slay any dragon this time around. But you know he's going to do everything he can to get his way. But I'm just worried that Coach is just going to fall short of what he's going to set out and do. So that's why I got Coach finishing 20th in season 50.
I guess the dragon won this time in your book. There's a lot of dragons in Survivor 50. At this point, Survivor 50 is a layer of dragons. He got a lot of slaying to do if he wants to get to the end of the game. And from your perspective, Rob, he doesn't do that. But in my perspective, somebody who I think is gonna end up like a pancake. You know, I love Waffle House. I like waffles more than pancakes because with waffles, you got a waffle maker and it flips around and it lets you know when it's done. You can easily burn a pancake. Now, Miss Emily Flippin, I think, is going to be a pancake that gets burnt this season. I don't know how well she's going to be able to enter the game with chaos and let that chaos go unnoticed. I think people are not going to be living for chaos for 50. I think they're already going to be so overwhelmed with the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol and the Fantasia Idol Nullifier that Emily trying to flip numbers isn't going to work out. And I think she's going to find herself in trouble, which is why I'm putting her as number 20 for me, right after, in reverse order, Camilla, Kyle, Q, and then my first boot, Genevieve.
You know, all I'm hoping is that she doesn't do a flip off the diving board and then land face first, plummet into the water. You know, those doing that too many times as a kid, I can remember how bad that hurts. But I'm hoping better for Emily this time around. But all right, for my next player, you know, you already mentioned this one. They're already on your list. And I think people are going to be afraid to go up against Quintavious. I think he is so loud and so electric that I think he should be able to get through a few rounds early in this game. I think because of that, like, people are almost going to be okay to let him cook. So then he blows up his own game. And I think we're going to get to some point, like on day 5, day 7, sometime around there, where they're going to be like, okay, there's a reason why I didn't necessarily want to align with this guy in the beginning. Like, he's called Chaos Q for a reason too. So I think sometime in the early stage of the game, he is going to blow up. Like, that's not a guy I can necessarily back to go so far into the game. So that's why I got Q going out at this stage of the game.
I mean, still pre-merge. Now these next couple, I want to kind of rapid fire fly through this pre-merge as we're thinking, right? So you mentioned her already, and because she's a big question mark, and because she's a previous winner, I think Savannah is getting 19. Savannah is fierce. And I think that there are also other players in this game that will meet the level of fierceness that she has, and it might be a problem for her. I think she's a smart player, but I think that because she is so unknown and because she's a winner and because she's such a wild card, she's going to be a big target moving forward. And I don't think that they're going to let her get out the pre-merge.
That's fair. So fair. All right, next on my list, we haven't talked about this player yet, but this is one of the most iconic Survivor players to ever have played the game. I don't know how many times they played, maybe 4 times. I don't know, but when I look at Ozzy, and if I'm another player on that beach,
Mm.
I'd be salivating at the mouth to vote him out, to take down the Jungle Boy, one of the most iconic players. I think there's going to be some juice, some edge to some of the players out there, and I just wonder how he's also going to pick up speed of the game now going into season 50, right? Now, he's still young, hip, cool Ozzy, but I just don't know if he still has that strategic gamer edge. I don't know how many fake sticks he's like stick idols he's going to make this time around, but I'd be happy to see one of those in play.
Yeah, Ozzy has been really active since the last time he's played. I think he moved to Mexico. He has a restaurant, I believe. Also, he's been doing a part of like the BWP tour.
Mm-hmm.
He's been moving around. He's been making stuff shake. I don't know if they're going to be ready to send him right back on his journey in the real world for him to finish, or if he's going to get a little bit further than what we think. But for 18th place for me, Rob, I have to put none other than creator of the White Lotus, Mike White. I think there's no world where Mike White gets to the end of the game. I think there's no world where Mike White wins Survivor 50. He already has the White Lotus. I don't think they're going to want to let him get far. Like, I think they're gonna remind him that he created the Emoji Movie, and he's gonna get chopped in pre-merge.
I'm thinking right along the same lines as you. That's why I got him placing 17th for me in this game. I always go
Mm,
back to him playing the first time in season 37 where he's just like out on the beach, like sipping his wine. And, that was always like a focus for him too. So I think he's really coming in like with that fan energy. And I don't see him having that killer instinct like a lot of these other players do to make it to the end of this game. So I do agree with you that I think he's going to get popped earlier on.
mhm. Now, Rob, you've been going first. I'm gonna do a double for you. I got a double whammy for you. So coming in at 17th place for me, Rob, you mentioned him before. I have Ozzy. I think that Ozzy's gonna have perhaps a little bit of a rougher time with some of these challenges. He's no longer a jungle boy. He's a jungle man. He is Mr. Jungle Esquire at this point. And I think we're gonna see that progression probably in the negative way. And number 16 for me, Rob, is also an old school or classic player, as they say, Jenna Lewis. Jenna's
Hmm.
fierce. She is the winner ender. But I think they're going to end her journey in the pre-merge.
Okay. Okay. You asked me before or questioned maybe where I was gonna put this player in my final draft, my placement, right? And I'm looking at just the demographics of this cast that we got. I don't know what the median age is of everybody, but I know that Rizzo has got to be the youngest out of everybody. I mean, I think he's the only Gen Z player maybe to be in this game
Yes.
right now. He is the only one, of course. I mean, I got the Gen Z like truther right here, the one that did all the research and everything. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Rizzo is super social and will connect with anybody in this game. But I just wonder if, like, because he's just a little bit younger, like maybe he's just not part of that in group that ends up forming at this point in the game. So that's why I got Rizzo going out 16th.
Interesting, interesting. I mean, he is again a big question mark for everybody else that has played. Now, Rob, we are at the final pre-merge boot based on our predictions. We're assuming it's a 11-person pre-jury to create an 11-person merge to then have a final three. Could be wrong, but based on this prediction that we have, who is your final pre-merge boot for Survivor 50 based on your prediction?
My final pre-merge boot, based off my prediction, I'm going with Stephanie LaGrossa. And I toyed with
Mm,
this so hard because I actually truly believe that she is one of the old school players that might find a way to really integrate themselves back into the game if she is able to get through the first couple rounds. I just think her time's going to get cut short just a little too soon, and she's going to end up placing 15th and just missing out on that merge.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. But she's been known for surviving, Rob. So I think I have her in a different spot. She's outlasted her whole tribe before. I feel like in 50, she's going to outlast a lot more people than we think. But for my final placement for pre-merge as the last pre-merge boot is also a classic player. Big Pa. He has children that aren't even his own named after him. Kobe Donaldson. And I think it's time for Big Pa to take a big nap on that reclining chair. And I think they're going to give it to him. He's going to be the final boot of pre-merge for Survivor 50.
All right.
Now, Rob,
totally fair.
I want to recap real quick all the pre-merge people that we have as our predictions for Survivor 50. For me, I have Genevieve, then Q, Kyle, Camilla, Emily, Savannah, Mike White, Ozzy, Jenna Lewis, and Kobe Donaldson, all making up the pre-merge in that order based on my prediction. What about you, bro?
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at this and the way that I had it organized everyone, placed everyone from first boot until just missing out on the merge. I got Sari, Charlie, Jenna, Savannah, Coach, Quintavious, Ozzy, Mike White, Rizzo, then Stephanie.
And if you're just listening and want to follow visually what we have going on, you can always check out the YouTube. We have a handy dandy tier list maker where we're placing each player so you can catch up and keep up there as well. Now, Rob, this next phase of the game, we've made the merge. I hope they're not making them earn the merge again, please. Like, I've worked my fair share of minimum wage jobs. I used to work at a Chick-fil-A. I know what it's like to work for something and not get what you're really supposed to get. And I think by making it to the merge, all these players, just let them have the merge. Like, they've earned it. Why do they have to earn it again? So because of that, I think 14th place is going to be where the jury starts. And I think 14th place is going to be the mayor of Ponderosa. Now, Rob, I have as my mayor of Ponderosa none other than, I had to double check a little bit, I'm a little blind, none other than Joe. I love Joe. I think Joe is loyal, but I think now is the time where all the big guys are gonna be in danger. We're coming to individual immunity. I don't think they're gonna want to let the strong competitive people get to the end. I think that Joe is super loyal. He has a great amount of charm. I think, may be lacking in 50 a little bit more on the strategic side. If he doesn't have somebody working with him that can bring in that strategy standpoint, I think they're just going to out-strategy him, and he's going to be consumed by the flame that is the masterminds of Survivor 50. So that's why I have him as the mayor of Ponderosa.
Yeah, I mean, that you can't argue with that logic. We've seen that pattern time after time in the new era where the players who win individual immunity continue to win individual immunity. And Joe was one of those guys during his season. There's no other reason why to expect that to change coming into season 50. So I agree with the logic. I think Joe's a great player, and that might be the time that he goes. So I think him being mayor of Ponderosa, not a bad call at all. For me, I was kind of thinking along the same lines with you, just from the round from before, because I have Colby as my mayor of Ponderosa. I think, like you said, he's a very social guy. I think he doesn't have that same kind of physical prowess that he had when he was playing season 20 the last time around. Because, I mean, he was the fucking man in season 2, right? And as he continued to play, he did kind of lose that edge, that physical side. Because, like you said, he's Big Pa now, But there's something like that just doesn't speak to maybe that drive that he has to get to the end of the game. And I think this is when players are going to wake up and everyone's going to scramble. at a new stage in the game, right? Everyone will have already reintegrated themselves, getting back into the flow at the beginning part of the game, but at the beginning of the merge, like that is a different breed. And I think Colby might just be a little bit slower getting into that fold than other players. So he's my man at Ponderosa.
Mm, mm. Now, Rob, the second in command at Ponderosa that I have listed, I think is going to be an ally for Joe. I think they are also fitting the same archetype. I've already mentioned it before how I think that the big, strong guys are going to be in trouble. And this, I think, is the biggest, strongest guy that we have on the season of Survivor 50, perhaps even in the history of Survivor. I don't like this player. I don't like the archetype of this character on Survivor. Nothing personal to Jonathan himself. I don't know him. I only know him through TV, but I think Jonathan is going to get 13. And I will be happy when Jonathan gets 13th. I think that people are going to fear him in individual immunity challenges. He has worn the necklace before. I don't think they're going to want to let him wear it again. I think that if he's aligned with Joe, that alliance may crumble when it comes to the individual game. Like, I think people are going to think that you've served your purpose of helping me get to the merge by keeping us safe as a tribe, but I think it's time for you to go. And so because of that, I have Jonathan as 5th or 13th, place.
You know, you're coming from a place with a lot of rationale, and just try to put yourself into the mind of like, who are players going to fear? And I think those are two very rational players as to why you would fear them. I mean, they literally showcase their big woolly mammoth selves, right? But I think another player that's going to be more feared out on the island is Rick Devens too. He has got to
Ooh.
be maybe the funniest player on the island. And I think everyone's going to be starting a clock where it's like, do I really want to play with this guy getting deeper into the game? Because you see how likable he is, how witty he is, and his confessionals at Tribal Council is like, he's going to be all smiles all game. But behind that smile is just like the memory of him losing in fire when he got fourth, then lost to Chris Underwood, then lost the game that was literally sitting in his hands. So I think he's going to be playing with a different type of motivation in his pocket. And I think players are going to finally get their senses together and pop him at this place in the game.
Ooh, Rob. For once, we're not splitting the vote on this one because I have a pretty similar placement for him on my list as well. I have Rick Devens as number 12. Rick Devens, the weatherman himself, I think he's going to face some stormy clouds when it comes to the late stage of Survivor 50. I think he has the gall to get there. He's smart, he's witty, he's funny, he has the social skill to get there. I think with the people that I have left in my prediction of Survivor 50, I think that they are just gonna get him out of the game at that point. I could see him trying to play the middle, but it not entirely working out. Who knows? Mr. Beast might come to the island and offer him $1 million to leave. He might take it. Who knows what to expect? But I feel strongly with predicting that Rick Devens is going to be 12th place.
You know, one player that was not afraid to take money the last time that they were on the island was D, because she went out there and she won $1 million just right out of Jeff Probst's hands in CBS. So I think she is going to come in with a huge threat, and I think she's going to be fantastic because she's a winner. You know, exactly. Like, I remember when we were tearing off, like, who were the best winners of the new era. D was at like close to the top of my list. I think she can win a second season, maybe better than anyone that's played in the new era for some time now. I just think that there is way too many threats that know how she plays, that knows how she thinks, and they're not going to let her get too far into the game. So it's going to hurt to see D get 12th for me, but I think she's going to end up somewhere in that vicinity.
I mean, that's a fair critique, a fair analysis. D is a winner. It's getting real close to the end. I think they're going to want to chop the winner. So I feel like that's a fair argument that you have there. Now, these next couple placements, I'll try to do 10, 11 together because I think that this is the spot where I think the true agents of chaos are going to get booted onto the jury. Those two real agents of chaos. Now, Rob, I'm from Mississippi. I'm used to the heat. I'm out here in Maryland. It's been a snowstorm. we talked about this before the pod. People been acting a fool. The grocery stores are empty, but people aren't buying soap and deodorant. Can we restock on that? But besides the point of that, all this ice and stuff is still here, and I have this big fat bubble coat. Now, Miss Angelina, she's gonna come prepared. She's gonna have 18 jackets. But I don't think all of those jackets are gonna keep her warm enough to survive the cold of the late game of Survivor 50. I think they're gonna put her game on ice, and she's gonna come in 10th place, actually, because the person who I have coming in 11th place is the Dragon Slayer himself, Ben Coach Benjamin Coach Ben Coach Benjamin Wade. Coach Benjamin Wade. Ben 10 at this point. Or Ben 11, I should say, because I'm putting him in 11th place on my list.
Okay, there you go. You know, you just mentioned Angelina stacking coats. Chrissy stacked immunity wins the first time that she played around. And I don't know if she can necessarily rely on that this time around. So she had the fortune of being able to rely on that when she played first time in season 35. And I think that she falls short because she's going to be a social player. She's going to be one of the I think maybe the most loved players out onto the beat, like on the island, just because of who she is as a person and what she's had to go through in her recent life. And not to use that against her in the game, I just think at some point they're going to recognize that, like, the threat that she is, and they're going to have to clock her, just like how I think they're going to clock Aubrey and have to get her out at 10, because you can't take that social strategic person that far into the game, because she's done it how many times now where she gets so close to the end and can't win. I don't think they should let her touch that green grass at Final Tribal yet again, because she missed out on her opportunity to win against Michelle, and I don't think they should even let her come close to getting back. But you know how smart and strategic and great she is at the game of Survivor, so she's gonna make it this far, no doubt.
I mean, I agree. I haven't placed Aubrey yet on my ranking, so we are both in agreement that she's gonna get a little bit deep in the game. We just aren't in agreement on what that placement is. Now, Rob, I'm gonna do 8 and 9 together because these are both players that have sat at the final tribal council. These are players that have already pitched their case to the jury. I don't think they're gonna want to let people who've pitched their case to the jury get to the end. And if a player does, they probably slip by for whatever reason. Rob, coming in spot number 9 for me. You already said her name. I gotta go with Chrissy. She's spot number 9 for me. I don't think they're gonna want to let her get that far again. She might even win a couple of immunities, but I think this is the time that they're gonna chop her. Now, this next player, all mad respect. Back when I first started making Survivor content, this dude was super cool. He was super kind. He was super nice. But based on those photos that they released before the official cast photos, Rob, he looked not like a tortured poet. He looked like a tortured player. And I think that he might suffer from big player-itis, from strategist-itis. And because of that, I think Charlie Davis is going to get 8th place in Survivor 50.
You know, I like that placement for him. I like that so much better than what I gave him, only in the stance of like, yo, I get to see one of my favorite players get further in the game. So, you know, I do desperately need a win against you, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Charlie being one of the people that I get wrong. All right, so for my next two, I think I could totally place my 9 and 8 together as well, because they're going out for like pretty much the same reasons back to back. So at 9, I got Christian Hibeki going out because he is probably one of the most calculating players that we got playing this season. And he's going to be a threat because he knows who to target. And those targets are threats. And they're going to realize that we got to get Christian back out because he's the one that's putting our names out. Yet he's so charismatic and smart and a guy that you want on your side because he is so persuasive. And that's why he's probably going to get out 9, I think, around there for me. And then I got Emily going out 8th too for the same reasons, that she is one of the most calculating players, and she might not be on your side when you're getting to this later part. Like, I think she placed 7th the first time around, and I think she's going to start to wake up and really see her end game, the direction that she needs to go, because, she's blunt. She's going to do what she needs to do. And I think players are going to see that and then not go with her plan.
I mean, you said Blunt. I just have to say the joke. Emily Blunt, Emily flipping. Emily might get smoked and get 8th place. I could definitely see that in your head. Now, Rob, I'm so childish for this, but the joke set itself up when I started going by twos. I'm gonna rank player placements for 6th, 7th place.
Bro.
7th place, Rob. I had to. This player is a winner. She is somebody who is fierce. She's competitive. But again, I don't think that they're going to want to let this player get to the end. I think she's going to play an amazing social game. She might even play a physical game as well because she has won a lot of immunities in her season. I'm talking about D. I think D is going to get 7th place in my perspective because, again, this is D. If you let D sit at the end as a previous winner, she is gonna Tony, she is gonna Sandra, she is gonna become yet again a 2-time winner of Survivor. She's gonna pull a Parvati on you. She'll wrap you around your finger, make you think that you're in Australia at this point. Okay, she's gonna get that second dub, and I think they're not gonna want to let her get that far in the game. This is the stage of the game where I think allies are really going to be turning against each other. And I think D might be that first casualty because you need to get her when you can before she can get you. And now Rob, 6th place. I hate to do it. I hate to do it to him. I got to put Christian Hubicki at 6th place. It broke my heart to do it because I love Christian. I love Christian. Christian is a father now. He's not Big Pa. He's new Pa, right? And David versus Goliath is one of my favorite seasons. But Rob, this is Christian. They're not gonna let Christian sit at the end because I don't even know Christian and I love him this much. Imagine being a player on the island and he's talking to you, convincing you, strategizing with you, working with you. That's $1 million check written in his name already if he gets to the end. And I think that they're going to want to like make Christian Hubicki, Christian, I don't have a real joke, but Christian on the jury bench, Hubicki, actually.
He is the professor, but at some point the students have to become the teachers, and I think that's where they're going to pop them. So I think you're definitely seeing it clearly too. All right, so for the person that got 7th for me, who I think is going to get 7th, you've already mentioned them. It's the woolly mammoth. It's Jonathan. I don't think he should be voted out in the tribe stage at all, just because he can literally carry you to immunity wins. And I recognize how you put it, where he should be a threat at the beginning of the merge, just because we see challenge threats dominate time and time again. And the thing is, I think he will dominate, and I think he will have put himself in a position to kind of set himself up to make it through those first few rounds of the merge, because he's going to come in with that perspective where this is a task that I need to take care of if I make it here. And I think he's going to get that job done, but just he won't be able to push himself all the way to Final Four like he placed last time, just because players are going to know, like, we can't go up against Jonathan at the end of this game. So I got Jonathan placing 7th. Placing 6th for me, I got Angelina. I got her doing a little bit better than how you thought she was going to do, because I do think she's super social and super intelligent. Like, one of the most like all around complete players playing this game. And, she's not afraid to make a fuss or try and get what she wants. I mean, if you think about rights negotiations, she literally started that. So I think she'll be able to put out exactly what she wants to do in a very like low key, maybe not manipulative, but like softer way where players want to get on board with her. And I think she's going to find herself in the top 6 again.
I mean, it's definitely possible. Angelina is a mother now. And Rob, there is a song that's stuck in my head that I have to sing. It's like, Angelina, 6th place like Angelina. Potentially, based on your predictions, that's what she's getting. Hopefully we're wrong. No shade to Angelina, but who knows? We'll see. Now, Rob, oof. I'm just gonna have to do 5 here. I'm just no, actually, 5 and 4 together works. No, it doesn't actually. No, we're gonna do 5. Okay, we're just
Okay.
gonna do fifth place right now, Rob. Based on my prediction, I think that fifth place, in my opinion, for my prediction, this is in my family. She's a cousin. I remember watching her season when I was little. She's a little bit of a middle school player. She's not a classic player. She's a old era player, you could say. I gotta put Aubrey as fifth place. Fifth place is where so many legends end up. I want to say Aubrey has gotten fifth before. I could be wrong, but Aubrey has consistently placed toward the top of the game, minus, I think, Edge of Extinction. But she has already been hyped up as a legend. You mentioned her on Survivor 46 when she wasn't even on the screen for who knows how long. So, because of that, she's going to have a lot of aura coming into this season. And I think that she's her. Like, she is her. Just like Tim is him when it comes to these competitions between me and you, Rob, on Split the Vote. Aubrey is her. And I think because Aubrey is her, they're going to make sure she is on the jury bench in fifth place.
Hell yeah. All right, another player with a ton of aura, one that I think is truly a Survivor legend in the making. You know, I'm looking at the list of winners who are playing again this season, and I think Kyle has the best chance of getting it done again. Though I do think
Mm.
he ends up falling just short of making it to the final four, where he might have a chance to put himself in a situation where he can do it all for himself. But I see him in that Survivor finale with a chance to win this game. And you know he's going to come in to the game as a threat amongst all threats, honestly. But you see how easy he was able to work with the threats the first time he played around in Shaheen and
Mhm.
Thomas and Joe, and then manipulate all of them right at different stages in the game. You know, he gets David on his side and then he turns on David when he needs to. Like, I think Kyle truly possesses all the tools that a winner can take into the second time they're playing a game. Like, I think if anyone's going to be like Sandra and win a second time, I think it can be Kyle. I think it can be Kyle. So I'm hoping he plays well.
Hey, if Kyle wins, Kyle, let me borrow $1. Like, if you get fifth place, I think you already have your million. Fifth place is a good spot as well that Rob is placing you. Just hit me up, just send me a message, and we'll make sure that in the future, if you play again, you will be in spot number one, trust. But I think Kyle being in that spot is a good spot to be in. I think it's a lot of respect for people who come in fifth, a lot of respect for like anybody who's voted out as a threat. But I think fifth place is particularly super big because this is the last time you can vote somebody out, Rob. Now, Rob, fourth place is special because we as the fans, it is in our hands, or it was in our hands, that we could choose between fire and a normal vote. I think people voted for fire, Rob. Like, I'm just gonna be real. I think
You
people
think so?
absolutely voted for fire. Yes. So I think because of, do you think so?
I
You think
don't
people who voted?
know. Everyone's been bitching about how fire is just such like a useless aspect of the game, but I do think it brings so much strategy to the game. So I'd like to see fire, but I don't know what people. I really don't know what people voted for. But I'll be excited to see what people voted for when we get to that place in the game.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna predict right now. I think fourth place is gonna be a fire making challenge. And because of that, Rob, I think that this player, he has never been voted out regularly. And I still think she's never gonna be regularly voted out. This is the mother that I'm placing in fourth place. This is none other than Sheree Fields. I don't think that there's any world where anybody with any brain cells let Suri get to a final tribal council. Like the concept of Suri alone is enough to win at Final Tribal Council. Cirie could be a GOAT. And just because of the fact that Cirie's at Final Tribal Council, Cirie will win that check. Trust. At least that's my perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that, Rob, because Cirie is who we think she is, the strategist, a great player who's also consistently made it to the end of the game when she hasn't been advantaged getting out of it. She's going to get as far as she could go, Rob. And I think she's just going to be taken out by Fire. Now, do you want to hear who I think she's going to go up against Fire against?
Ooh, yeah, let's hear it. I want to hear that, Tim.
Oh, I'm rubbing my hands together if you're just listening, because this is where it gets spicy. You know, I'm an English PhD candidate, so I love writing. And I write like Dungeons and Dragons stuff. So I like a good narrative. And you know what would be a real good narrative, Rob? Is if Cirie and Stephanie LaGrossa go up against each other in Fire. You know how iconic that would be? Like, they played multiple games together outside of Survivor. They've done Traders together. They've done Snake in the Grass together as well. I think they've actually played Survivor together also. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they have.
Season 20.
And yeah, season 20, All-Stars. And so I think just like a good heated rivalry, they're gonna literally have a heated rivalry with the fire making competition. Now, although Tim is Cirie in this instance, Rob, you might be Stephanie LaGrossa, because I think Stephanie LaGrossa is finally gonna come on top versus Cirie this time. But I think it'll be such a poetic cycle to Cirie's journey on Survivor by yet again not being voted out regularly.
You know,
if she's formed.
You know, I got Cirie placing 24th, but for the reasons that you have her making it all the way to 4th. So I think those are they're not that they're the only two sides of the coin, right? Because like she can't get 4th or 24th, but we've laid out perfectly the reasons as to why Cirie is a top contender in this game, but then also on the flip side, a reason why she should be one of the main targets that players go for at this game. You know, she placed 17th out of 20th in Heroes versus Villains, so there's a blueprint to get her out, but she can also make it to final 3. Because wait, was it 4? When did she get out by the Black Widow Brigade and everything like that?
I want to say 3rd because it was a final 2.
It was, right? Amanda Parvati. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think that's right. So, you know, she can make it all the way to final 4. I hope she does. If she makes it all the way there just to lose in Fire, God, it's got to be the most like heart-wrenching moment in Survivor history, honestly, because I feel like everyone would be rooting for her to finally get that win in like the CBS Survivor like community and everything like that. So, though honestly, there you go.
Yeah, no, if Cirie won, that's my Super Bowl, Rob. Like when I say I will be in the streets, I will listen. Just let it happen. We'll see. Just let it happen. If we're wrong and Cirie gets to that end and she wins, I will do a backflip. I will do multiple backflips, but we have to flip to your list as you get to your 4th placement for Survivor 50.
Yep. You know, neither of us have mentioned this player yet. You know, you haven't like spoken of them yet. So I think we're thinking along the same lines here where how far this player goes. And one player that I think coming into the game that I think has all the tools to win this game. You know, it's Tiff. I got Tiff placing 4th. You know, she faced tribal after tribal the first time she played. She had to work with Q for goddamn sake and somehow made that work for her. But this time she doesn't have to work with Q, you know? Maybe Christmas was canceled last time she was on the island, but I don't know if her game's gonna be canceled this soon or that as early as it had this time. So I got Tiff going to final 4 with a serious chance to win this game, but I fear that she's going to be popped and taken out at 4 by the Master of Fire, the firefighter himself. And that's why I got Joe going up against Tiff in fire, but Joe, big man
Wow.
Joe, taking out Tiff, stopping her from having that chance to pitch her case at Final Tribal and actually having a chance to win this game.
Let me find out you write Survivor fanfic because the firefighter creating a fire to take out Tiff. You know how
Right?
crazy that would
Yeah.
be? You
Did
know how
Jeremy
crazy
do
that would
that?
be?
Did Jeremy do that?
Did Jeremy make fire?
I
I don't
can't
think Jeremy
remember.
made
Probably not,
fire.
right?
No, 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 no,
Mm-mm.
no. He didn't make
Yeah, it
fire.
happened way too early for him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah,
What am
yeah.
I
He had a
saying?
fire game though. His game was fire. You know, it's one of my favorite winners. Shout out to Jeremy. Uh, but man, that would be crazy. That would be iconic. But Rob, I want to tell you a little bit about why I have the final three that I have. I'm not gonna say who's the winner yet, who's second yet, and who's third yet. But because we're on our final three people, we have to talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's recap who we have on the jury for our season 50 predictions. Starting with you, Rob, from 14th all the way to 4th.
All right. So the players that I think that are gonna make the jury, but not quite make the end, I got Colby, Rick Devins, D, Chrissy, Aubrey, Christian, Emily, Jonathan, Angelina, Kyle, and finishing off with Tiff. Who do
Hmm.
you got,
On,
Tim?
on the other hand, Rob, I got Joe, Jonathan, Rick Devins, Coach Benjamin Wade, Angelina, Chrissy, Charlie, D, Christian, Aubrey, and finally the fire making loser in my prediction, Sheree. Now, Rob, this final three, these for me are three players that are going into season 50 with such a low threat level because they are seen as players that aren't the biggest threats in the world. Maybe they're seen as like odd picks to come back for Survivor 50 to some people. And I think because of that, people are going to underestimate their ability to kill it in this game of Survivor. And I think because of that, they are going to make up the final three. My final three, without telling you the order just yet, is Tiff, Stephanie LaGrossa, and none other than the RIZ baby, Riz God. I think all three of these players, what they share is that in their first seasons, they did great. They did pretty well. Like they held their own. They either found idols, they either outlasted other people, they either held on to an idol like a rock, but none of them were particularly like big individual immunity winners, right? We saw Rizzo struggle a little bit. Stephanie LaGrossa outlasted her tribe and won in a fire making challenge, but she didn't go any further than that the first time we saw her. Now, All Stars is a different story. And then Tiff, she did pretty good. She landed in the upper middle pack on 46. But Rob, that's my final three. But I'm going to let you tell me your final three before I tell you the placements that I'm predicting for Survivor 50.
And you know what? What I love about this is two of the players that I have in my final three were clocked in the first 4 rounds by you, you know? So we couldn't be on opposite sides of how we think some of these players are going to do. But okay, yeah, looking at who I got for the 3 players that I think are going to be sitting there at FTC, they're all strategic, they're all super social, and I think they get there for a little bit of different reasons. I think those are core values that you need to have in this game to be able to skill wise make it to the end. You have to have the forefront. All 3 of these players made it to the finale episode. They all placed top 5. And I
Hmm.
can see them doing better than how they did the first time around. But so the 3 players that I got sitting there at FTC with a chance to win, not in the order, but I got Camilla, the Chameleonaire, with a chance to
Mm.
actually earn that name sitting in the final 3. We got Genevieve, who you have as the first boot. And I got Joe living his redemption arc with another chance to pitch his case as to why he should win this game at the end. So for the 3, I got Camilla, Genevieve, and Joe with a chance to win.
I think that's a really solid three. I'm shocked that you have Camilla and Joe together. I think that's a really interesting group of two within that group of three. I also feel like they're all new era, which is really interesting. I think that you think that new era is all coming out on top. So I'm curious to see if that's actually the case. But Rob, I gotta go start off with my third place. I don't know if they're gonna be a 0 vote finalist necessarily, but he's done it before. He's got to the end before. I have to put Rizzo in third place. I think Rizzo is gonna be a player who is gonna shock a lot of people. Like I said it before, he's on my draft. He's a god amongst kings and queens. He's your Stan's favorite Stan. And because of that, he's gonna go far. But I think he's not gonna pull off the win. I love Rizzo, but I think that they're gonna think he's either too goofy, too silly, too young, too Gen Z, too Riz God, too of an unknown to get the title of the winner of Survivor 50. But I do place him as third. Now, Rob, ooh, this was tough for me. This was tough for me because I think these are both two amazing, incredible women, two incredible, strong players. But Rob, Stephanie LaGrossa, I think, is going to come out at second place because you better believe I'm putting all my money on Tiff. Tiff is going to be my winner for Survivor 50. I love Tiff so much.
Okay.
Like, that's not just mother, that's auntie. Tiff is going to find another Idolicia. She's going to play with all the faves. She's going to have a low threat profile. She might even win an individual immunity. Heck, who even knows it? But I'm putting my money on Tiff coming out on top as the winner. I think Stephanie is going to play an amazing, incredible game, but I think that as a classic era player, with the jury that I have made up, it's a lot more of new era slash middle school players that are in there. And I think that Stephanie might have to burn a little bit more bridges to really fight to get to the end than a Tiff will. And I think because of that, Tiff is going to take it. Period. As she should.
What a beautiful list. Round of applause to Tim. That is great. I love the tier. I think you laid out a really good case for what could happen. So, that's going to be tough to go up against. Truly. It truly will be. So, for my final three, the one that I see getting third, kind of like you said, where you don't know if they're going to be a 0 vote finalist, like in Rizzo and everything like that. Might they be too something, right? The way that I'm looking at this player, I think Joe, he might be too loyal, might not have done too much socially, strategically to stab people in the back, because I think players on the jury looking at this season, they're going to want a winner, someone who represents Survivor in the sense of you got to embody the season. And I do think this season will be a bloodbath. I mean, look at the players we have on this cast. There's so many strategic, iconic players playing this game, and you're going to have a reason for how you like just committed slaughter and got all these other players out. And I don't know if Joe's going to have that speech at the end where he's going to be able to encapsulate those moves into why he should win this game. He didn't do it the first time. I worry about his chance of doing like pitching himself in that kind of a way again if he makes it to the final three in season 50. So that's why I got Joe placing third. And then I think this season's going to come down to two savvy, strategic, cunning players in Genevieve and Camilla. I think those are two players that can definitely get on the same wavelength because they play in such a similar kind of way. In the sense of they can adapt through chaos, they can lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal. They've been on the bottom and they've put themselves back up onto the top. I know they're gonna have it would be a screaming match between the two of them at final three as to why one person's move was better than another, who set themselves up that much better than the other. And I think it's going to come down to like a 5-4 vote, like a 1 vote difference between Genevieve and Camilla. And that's why Camilla's gonna place second, and she just loses to
Ooh,
Genevieve at Final Tribal Council.
wow.
So
Wow.
pretty shocking, honestly, to say that I have Genevieve as my winner pick for season 50, and you have her as the first boot. So one of us is going to be very right, and the other is going to be very wrong. And I'm
That's
really
kind of
excited
crazy.
to see that how that happens. Uh,
And by the
so
way, for folks who are like tuned into this, we didn't share our list with each other at all. We
nope.
didn't talk about this at all whatsoever. So for me to have the first boot and that person be Rob's winner and that person being Genevieve, it's kind of crazy to me. It's kind of like, wait,
This is
what?
awesome.
Yeah, no, it truly is a big split in that split the vote moment for sure. Then, but man, this has been super cool, super fun to do. Again, first place coming out on top for me, going through some of the major points. I have Tiff winning, I have the mayor of Ponderosa being Joe, and I have the first boot being Genevieve. Rob.
I got a bloodbath between Genevieve and Camilla at the final tribal council, with Genevieve coming out on top. I got Colby as the mayor of Ponderosa. And then I have Suri as the first boot of season 50, just because of how great she is as a Survivor player. So big things. I can't wait for the premiere of this season. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm hyped too. I'm excited. I think it's going to be super incredible. It's a 3-hour premiere. So, make sure that you have your water, you're hydrated. If you're popping out at the BWP premiere, you can make sure you're in for a really great time for those 3 hours. Now, for me, Rob, I'm going to be ready to get my W, both in the draft, which a lot of my draft members I think are going to do well, which people can check out that draft episode if they want. But I'm going to be more accurate than you. We'll revisit this. Trust. But this has been another great, incredible, amazing episode of Split the Vote. As always, I am joined by my greatest co-host in the world, Rob. But it's been Tim.
It's been Rob.
It's been Split the Vote, the ultimate Superfan podcast. Another Purple Pants podcast powered production. I'm putting my glove on, Rob, and I'm saying peace. And I'll see you then.